I'm going to put my thumb in.
Whoa.
And one of the tools I use, just a sponge. If I feel the clay starting to dry out, all I have to do is give the sponge a little squeeze. And the way this works is I'm going to pinch the clay. When I pinch the clay is going to move. It cannot go down because this big lump of clay is there. It can't go left or right. I control that, so the only way it can go is up.
Whoa, I actually see it doing that. Oh, dude, that's sick.
This is more fun than video games.
A little bit far. Whoa.
I already know what I'm going to do.
Sweet.
That is awesome. Holy cow.
Now, one of the other tools I use, you know, my fingers are lumpy and bumpy and move all over the place and leave these lines. So I've got this piece of stainless steel, and it's called a rib, but it's got a nice smooth edge. And this helps me smooth out the surface and shape. And then another tool is just a piece of wood. It's kind of, you know, shaped like a knife. That'll define the bottom. If I want to do some decoration while it's still on the wheel, because the pot's turning, if I hold this tool real still, I can make nice straight parallel lines. If I tried to do this when it was off the wheel, it's just not going to happen. I can't keep my hands still enough. Because I'm a professional, I get to use these very expensive precision clay tools.
That looks like a fork. It is a fork.
But see, I've got a great imagination. For me, this is an expensive precision clay tool. Now, when you guys have mashed potatoes the next time at home, and have your mother call the teacher.
No phone calls, please.
Because the clay is soft, to get it off, all I need. I've got more clay.
Oh my gosh, that's so cool.
This time I'll make a bowl. Now, learning how to do this. You ever sat down at the piano? Your fingers have to be at the right place at the right time with the right pressure, doing the right thing, or the music sounds awful. Same thing here. My fingers have to be at the right place at the right time, doing the right thing. The right speed, and the clay has to be the right softness, or I'll end up with a pile of mud at the end of the wheel. Just like learning to play the piano, just like when you're little and we're trying to teach you how to tie your shoes and you're going, huh? How are my fingers ever going? Practice, 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 practice. Lots of practice, right? Just like when we teach you a new math problem where you have to diagram a sentence, you know, and figure out where the nouns and the pronouns and the adjectives and the verbs are. Kind of hard when we first throw that at you, but now it's kind of like tying your shoes, and after you've done it a few thousand times, it's pretty easy. So the same thing here, my fingers have to be at the right place at the right time. I have to have an idea before I can start. You'll notice that when my hands are on the clay, my eyes are looking at what my hands are doing. I can still talk while I work. But you also notice that I'm not staring up at the ceiling and looking around and jabbing at my friends. Of course, I don't have any friends. Now, the other thing I can do with the clay is a lot of times I get tired of looking at the circles. The circles just, you know, I've been doing this for 36 years and the circles get kind of boring. You know, your brain knows what a circle is. Oh, that's a circle. Show me something interesting. Just like there's rhythms in music, you know, boom, 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 boom. I can create visual rhythms. And so sometimes with the bowls, I'll play with the lips. And I'll play with that circle. And this is much more interesting visually. And your eye speeds up on this curve. And oh, what's this? And it speeds up. Okay. We do this same thing, this visual rhythm. We do it with like the stripes on your shirt with different materials in clothing. Different textures. You know, and art is all around us. It's not just in the museum or in the gallery or here at the hot shops. When you guys go take mom and dad to go buy tennis shoes, you know, and you take them into Foot Locker and you say, I want those $120 pair of Nikes up there on the shelf, Dad. Any of you ever done that or tried to do that? Got nothing to do with making you run faster and jump higher. I'm going to look good in these tennis shoes, right? Tennis shoes are sculpture. Highly paid art department designs them. An even higher paid art department does the advertising, the marketing that makes us feel like we can't live without them. Now, this group's theme is going to be
Animals.
Animals?
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Yeah.
What happened to climate? Or is that the next group?
That's the next group.
Oh, okay. Animals.
We get to study everything.
You know, in art, you can go into any culture's art, and they have made art of animals. Okay? Animals are very important. How many of you have pets? Pets become like part of your family. This time I'll use the whole piece of clay and we'll make something a little bigger, but even to start the whole piece of clay, I have to be centered. You know, work on the bottom, make it nice and smooth. Right now, while I can still see it. Well, that's a good question. And the way we do that is we start on one wheel with about 50 pounds of clay. And this is only about 5 pounds of clay. So a lot of clay. That'll build the first part of that to about there. Okay, so we throw that, and then we take one of these brown boards and we put it down on one of the other wheels and get another 50 pounds of clay, but instead of throwing that bottom part, we throw a big donut that's about that thick. It's about that tall. And it's the same diameter, you know, as whatever we're going to put it on top of. And then we pull the board up, turn it upside down, get it attached and centered on this piece of clay, and we slice off that and remove the board, and then we pull up the next section. So this one is about 400 pounds, about 8 sections. And it took about 9 hours to build. And it's under plastic now because one of the things what makes clay soft, you know, it's dry in those bags that I've got back there, but what makes it soft is the water. Okay, so the more water we add to it, the softer it gets. And then when the clay dries, it dries out and it's hard, but it's very fragile still. It's kind of like an eggshell. It'll still break very easily. And once this clay, like if I let that cup dry out and if I put water in it, in about 5 minutes it would fall apart and start to go back to soft clay. Yes?
Don't you have to do something to it to make sure it doesn't do that?
To do that, we have ovens back there and they're called kilns.
Kilns.
Okay? And we heat the clay and we heat it up very slowly. If we heat it up too fast, there's still moisture in the clay and it pops like popcorn. It'll go pop, pop, the steam is trying, the water in the clay is turning to steam. And if we do that too fast, the pressure builds up, and that's how popcorn works. That hard kernel is filled with moisture, and then you heat it up in the oil, and the moisture starts to boil, and when water heats up, it wants to expand. And so finally it can't hold, the kernel can't hold it anymore, and it explodes into that white piece of popcorn. So the science part of clay is once the clay's heated up over 600 degrees, it's not going back to soft clay. It's changed chemically. And you know that water molecule, H2O, right, is water. So that means H2 is 2 atoms of hydrogen, and attached to those 2 atoms of hydrogen is 1 atom of oxygen. And that together makes water. Now, when you heat that up in the furnace, in the kiln, at about 500 degrees, as you heat it up, it's starting to vibrate. And the hotter you get it, the more it vibrates. And at about 600 degrees, it's vibrating so hard that it can't hold together anymore. And the hydrogen goes off over here as a gas, and the oxygen goes off over here as a gas. Okay? But then the clay's changed chemically. That water molecule is gone out of it, and no matter how long I soak it in water, and even if I crush it up into baby powder, it's never going to go back to soft clay. I'm watching you two, and you can pay attention, okay? Show me just a little bit of respect. Thank you. So each time I put my hands in here, you know, I started with that solid piece of clay. And so I'm shaping and I'm thinning it out. I always have a little extra clay here at the bottom. Get rid of that. Smooth this out just a little bit more. Put a little decoration on it. You know, if I want to, I can just keep going and go nuts with this. And that's kind of fun sometimes. It gives you a different texture and a different pattern. And I'm having fun. You know, it's okay to have fun while you work. Now this, you know, it's summertime. Gardens are full of flowers. So you go pick the flowers. You put this on your kitchen table. You've got a vase for it. Or if I want to change it, I still can make it into something else real quick with a quick pitch of my fingers. It's a pitcher.
That's cool.
Now, let me show you what this looks like on the inside.
Whoa.
Okay. So each time I'm thinning out, I'm shaping, but the clay is very rubbery and very flexible. I have to stay focused. Okay. Otherwise, I get to do it over. Clay's in a lot of different things too. It's not just used for making pots. We make bricks out of it. When you brush your teeth, the grit that's in the toothpaste is clay. When you get sick at home and mom gives you a teaspoon of kaopectic or Pepto-Bismol, I've got 50-pound bags of that back there, but it doesn't have the peppermint flavor. If you've got baby powder at home, baby powder is a material that we use both in the clay and in the glazes. Only the baby powder I have doesn't have the baby smell in it. Okay, ladies, when you get a little older and start doing the makeup thing, all the bases for your makeup is clay. Clay is in paper. All our computer chips have clay in them.